It's devastating anytime a train hits a car. But when a train hits an object it can't move, the threat to human life is even greater.
Imagine the force of two trains colliding. Trains can be over a mile long and weigh 10,000 tons. When they smash into one another, the scale of the disaster is enormous, and what's left can look like a war zone. February 1996, St. Paul, Minnesota. A mile-long freight train loads up and heads down the grade into St. Paul. It stops a few times along the way, and the brakes are working just fine. But somewhere along the grade, the brakes go out and the train speeds out of control. The engineer knows the tracks lead straight into a freight yard. He calls ahead to get switched off the line. But the switches are controlled by timers, and the dispatcher is helpless to steer the train clear. The train is doing 50 miles an hour when it thunders into the yard and collides with 3 parked locomotives. A half a mile of freight train jumps the rails and plows toward a shed full of workers. Richard Vitek had just stepped outside.
It sounded like thunder, rumbling, metals screeching, tearing up tracks, and when I seen the light glaring right at me and the roar it was making, and I just ducked and figured I was dead.
We had a runaway train come right through our entire yard. We got everything out of control. Half our buildings on fire. We had many people hurt.
44 cars and 6 locomotives derail in a colossal pile of twisted debris. What was once a freight train looks like a huge pile of crushed tin cans.
The scene basically looked like a giant tornado had just gone through the area. I mean, there was wreckage everywhere, large chunks of steel twisted, huge pieces of train cars strewn all over the place, wires down. It was just a scene of total destruction.
Rescuers spent 3 hours trying to get Vitek out, but they didn't have anything that could move the enormous cars. Finally, they dug a hole underneath him and pulled him out from below. He spent a week in the hospital. How does he feel about trains?
I don't go near them. I don't like them. I don't go near. I still get a sick feeling when I go over railroad tracks.
What could cause such a disaster? Was it sabotage? A bomb? No, in fact, there was a kink in the air hose that runs to the train's brakes. Only 7 of 89 cars got the signal to stop. Days later, railroad authorities ordered the line to install emergency brakes to prevent such a disaster in the future.